This is Steven Galvin, and he's just been shot by a drive-by shooter who fled the scene. There's barely any evidence, and the police were at a dead end right from the beginning. Or at least, that would be the case, if Steve hadn't managed to use his final breath to solve his own murder seconds before he died.
Steven, who did this to you?
I think we're far enough away.
Cyclop?
With only a nickname and a million questions remaining, the cops had the hardest investigation of their lives ahead of them in a race to bring this monster to justice before he kills again. On July 2nd, 2015, police rushed to the scene of an apparent drive-by shooting in a previously quiet neighborhood in Clear Lake, California.
Police emergency line?
The man has been shot. The man could be.
Do you know who shot him?
Lady, I don't know who shot the man. All I know is he's been shot. He's laying out here on the dirt.
But when the cops arrived, things didn't seem right at all. Nobody was scared or panicking, and when they approached the victim, it seemed that he had no injuries at all.
Are you shot, sir? All right.
What's going on?
I'm okay.
What happened?
Do you have any injuries, sir? I think somebody saying he was shot. Still gonna need medical for some odd reason. Sir, are you alright? What's your name? Steve Galvin. Steve Galvin?
Steven Galvin was well known to the cops and is somewhat of a local troublemaker, but he's still the victim of a crime, and these cops need to find out exactly what's going on and why he keeps slipping in and out of consciousness. It wasn't until the paramedics arrived that they finally discovered Steven's injuries, and it's no surprise that they were easily missed by the officers on the scene.
What's your name?
Steven.
Steven? Not that we can see. Well, but I mean, he's doing this, though.
Steven! Steven, can we take a look at you? What's going on, partner? Steven! Look up for me, partner. What's going on today?
Oh.
Cut the toe, try not to move around too much, Steven.
What is that?
Roll him on his back and look at his back. Steven, can we take a look at you? Let's get you out of this backpack here. Yeah, I think we're okay on the airway.
The entry wound was so small, it took an extremely trained eye to find it, and it was only when they found the exit wound that they were able to confirm he'd been shot. They've already been wasting valuable time that could be used to try and save his life, but they're still asking themselves how a gunshot wound could be so hard to find and produce no blood.
He's got like a little puncture-looking wound. Well, on either side, little tiny wound. That's what I'm looking at. There's one on the front? Yeah, there's one on the back side as well. Like it went through and through? Yeah, it would have to be perfectly through and through because the extra wound is nothing. And it's not blue. There's no blood coming out of it. Sometimes they don't come out. Oh, shit.
In some cases, where the bullet might have gone through the chest, there can be little to no signs of injury, with only tiny entry and exit wounds. The fact Steven isn't bleeding could be a sign of a serious problem. If the bullet went through his lungs, they could be sucking in blood, and if that's true, then it could already be too late. And tragically, that seemed to be the case. Moments later, Steven passed away from internal injuries, but not before the cops had one last conversation with him that changed the entire course of this investigation. His last words helping to solve his own murder.
Hey, Steven? Steven, who did this to you?
I think we're far enough away.
Cyclop?
All the cops had to go off of was this frankly terrifying nickname that one of his alleged victims called him by. Cops thought this wouldn't be of any help at all, but it turns out Cyclops was actually a fairly well-known name around here, and it didn't take long for them to figure out exactly who it was. Cyclops was the street name for David Cox, a man who was well known for both his criminal past and his distinctive tattoos. David was still new to Clear Lake and was on parole for many violent offenses. It seemed like this case was already open and shut, but as the cops discovered more and more evidence and tracked down their suspects, they realized that things were a whole lot more complicated than they had first thought. Stories, alibis, and secret witnesses would paint a completely different story to the one they currently had. But still, they have to start by tracking down David, something that wasn't going to be easy. So to try and find more information, an officer approached the witness who made the 911 call.
How's it going?
Fine.
Just want to ask you a few questions about what you saw.
I ain't saw. I just heard the shots. I was watching when I heard 2 shots. Then I heard the guy hollering, somebody help me. And I just happened to see the tail end of a white truck as it passed by my truck there.
Now they have a second lead to chase, a mysterious white truck that was seen leaving the area immediately after the shooting. The problem the cops have is that a suspect in a vehicle can cover a lot more ground than on foot. And by now, David could be anywhere. But the cops had to start somewhere, so they started at his last known address.
I got a canine outside. Ma'am, can you come on out here? David Cox's ex-girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay. Is David here?
No.
Nobody's here? Just you?
Yes.
You mind if I check the house? I'm sure nobody else is in there? Okay.
Allegedly, the only person home was David's ex-girlfriend. But even so, this cop wasn't willing to take any chances and fully swept the house.
Hey, please. Correct, please. Correct, please.
In cases like this, cops often keep certain information secret so they don't jeopardize the investigation. But with time against them, these cops tell it straight and inform her that her ex-boyfriend could be a murderer and is a wanted man.
Clear? Yeah. All right.
Well, we need to talk to him about something.
Do you have a phone number for him?
Oh, well, I do, but I don't want to give it to you.
Okay.
I'll tell you right now, if you interfere in our investigation, I will arrest you.
Okay, well, I called when you guys got to the top of it, and the last time I called in was that... What?
It's a homicide that we're working right now. That's why I have the gun out. So you right now do not want to get in the middle of it, okay?
All right.
All right, what's his number? We're gonna be wiretapping all these phones and stuff. So my suggestion is you don't call him, communicate with him. I would suggest avoiding him until we have him.
He's possible suspect in homicide and murder.
Yeah.
That's why we're here with guns and dogs.
So what's his number?
While patrol cars raced to the other address provided by his ex-girlfriend, an officer continued to question her, where she revealed the possible motive for the shooting.
Say hello.
Well, no, the doctor, he goes like, you brought his fancy over the phone in a tablet.
Okay.
A long time ago, well back.
All right.
And,
That might be him. Adam, can someone confirm he's 97 there?
But their conversation was cut short by police radio chatter as the officers arrived at the address they suspected David was hiding, and this time the stakes were even higher. This time, it was more than likely that several people would be waiting inside who could all be armed. So cops needed to play this by the book and avoid anyone else getting hurt, be it suspect or officer.
The Clear Lake Police Department, you are surrounded. Residents in the home, we have K9 here. The K9 will be deployed inside the residence. We are now ordering you each out of the residence. We know that there's at least 4 subjects in the home, maybe 4. Residents in the home, we believe that one of you or multiple persons may be armed.
Cops never know which way a standoff like this is going to go. For all they know, the suspects inside could be taking positions and getting ready to open fire. But it wasn't long before the cops saw movement, allowing them to make their move.
Movement. Come on with your hands up. Come on with your hands up. You're considered armed.
Keep your hands in the air. Step out.
Keep your hands in the air, David.
David didn't even put up a fight, something the cops appreciated but found extremely strange. If David really was as dangerous as they thought, why did he go down so easily and act as though he actually wanted to be arrested?
I'm well aware of what you guys think I did, but I don't know why you guys think that. Okay, David. Okay. Hey, you guys are going to ask me, right? You're not going to take me to jail on the subject, right? That's fine.
3 other people from the house are then rounded up and brought into custody, with the cops hoping that maybe they could provide some answers. But back at the station, things only got more confusing. David continued to push the cops for information about why he was arrested, but knowing how high stakes this investigation was, the cop gives him nothing to go off.
Did somebody actually get hurt?
I don't know, man.
I don't know what happened, but I heard that they said David Carr, tattoos on face, stuff about a gun. Do you know that? Other than that, I don't know. But I know that I heard somebody got killed over there. Right?
I don't know, it's news to me.
Oh my God, if that's it, I'm freaking out, you know what I mean? Oh.
With the main suspect in custody, the cops needed to piece this case together, find out exactly why Steven was shot, and if David truly was the man responsible. So they turned to Steven's girlfriend, who at this point still had no idea that he'd passed away, leaving lead investigator Detective Peterson to deliver the devastating news.
John, can I know about Steven?
I know you. I know that you're not going to have to go through all this again, all right? Steven's not here anymore.
Oh my God.
I'm going to do the best I can, okay? I want to make sure you're someplace safe and with some support people around, okay? Take a deep breath. You want to get out of this room?
Please.
Let's get out of this room.
But before Peterson even began to investigate fully, one of the other people arrested earlier asked to speak to officers, and he's about to blow this case wide open with a shocking confession.
Now, I was advised that you had some information and some concerns. What are your concerns?
My concerns are my safety.
For what?
For anything. You see this from talking to you guys.
Well, what do you know? What do you know?
Well, I know he didn't do it.
Who didn't do what?
Cyclops.
Okay, Cyclops didn't do what?
Do anything.
Okay, so can you say that David never left the house for sure?
No, I did earlier. I said I definitely got about 45 minutes. He was with me.
He was with you?
Yeah.
Witnesses obviously try to provide alibis for their friends all the time, but on this occasion, the cops didn't know who to believe, but they were starting to suspect that there may be more to this case than meets the eye, and these suspicions are only made stronger when the witness appears to be terrified of naming the real killer, fearing for his life.
So playing the games here is not helping you.
I'm playing no games.
I want to know what happened today. And since you know the name of the person
I do know this.
Okay, who did it? And how do you know this?
Are you going to protect me?
Despite not revealing the true killer, he remained adamant that David was not responsible, and signs were starting to show that he might not be wrong. David seemed extremely anxious at being detained and just wanted to know what he'd done, but he clearly knew at least something about Steven's murder. We know from David's ex-girlfriend that David and Steven had an argument that was suspected to be a motive for the murder, but by David's account, the pair were merely acquaintances and barely knew each other at all.
Okay, I woke up this morning to my grandmother's knock on my bedroom door at around approximately 8:30. That was to get my ass up, and then we went back to my mom's house, hung out for a little bit, ate a bowl of cereal. Can I know what's going on now? I think I know what's going on, but I don't want to say something that I don't know is going on, and you haven't told me.
That's not how this works. Okay, I'm investigating probably something pretty
I know, it's probably pretty serious. I heard.
Absolutely pretty serious. Why would it be the fact that the last words that I get out of T-Bone,
I agree.
when I ask him who's
job,
he says, Cyclops.
I can't believe that I did.
Look at me. Why would the last words out of his mouth be your name?
I think he just assumed. I can't answer for him.
Crocodile tears don't work for me, man.
I can't answer for him.
Tears won't convince an experienced cop like this that you're innocent, and there's a good chance that David's lying to escape a murder charge. But this time, there's just so many question marks, and the cops have to get this right. If David is telling the truth and is completely innocent, then they have to find the real killer or risk countless more people losing their lives.
I didn't just pick you out of the hat.
I know that. And you
You're the only person in this town with the name Cyclops.
I'm not denying that. I'm not denying any of that.
You look at him. I'm going to jail when I leave this room with murder charges.
That's insane, dude. I would not.
Okay.
And I knew that.
David, look at it from our side.
I know. I'm going to jail. I know it.
So if you have anything to tell me to be able to save you from that, you need to tell me.
I don't.
But the detectives weren't the only ones investigating this case, as David's ex-girlfriend was also trying to figure out everything as well. She had been putting hours of effort into proving that David didn't shoot Steven, and finally, she was ready to approach the detectives herself with some shocking news.
You made the comment that you went and talked to some people and found out that David wasn't the one who did this. So can you point me in the right direction then?
I'm not saying anything to nobody about what we're talking about. Nobody even knows that I know.
I get that. Let me explain this real simple to you, okay? If what you're telling me is the truth, I need you to be extremely forthcoming in this, okay?
I just want to spit the name out, but I'm so afraid.
It seems that David's ex-girlfriend could name the killer, but was also scared of the repercussions. But at this point, that didn't matter. 3 different people have all now individually claimed that David is innocent, so they decided to press a little harder and finally uncover the truth.
Let me explain this to you. If you have information, I need that information because it's the difference between his freedom and not his freedom, his life and not his life.
I know that. Now, honestly, it's just Billy Mount.
Billy Mount?
Billy Mount was another familiar name to Detective Peterson, and he had a dark criminal past behind him. But as well as naming Billy, she claimed she saw him near the scene of the crime at around the time of the shooting.
Billy was at what house? Maple House?
Yeah.
About what time was that?
It was right before they all left.
David and Billy left together?
No.
Or just David and Bill?
Billy left with a white truck. When Billy left, they pull out, and the little boy driving was totally rude. I'm like, hey, you don't have to be so rude, you little junkie.
Who was that?
I don't know. He's the driver.
The 911 caller told the cops he saw a white truck leaving the scene, and now Detective Peterson had a witness placing Billy in the area, driving around in a seemingly identical vehicle. There's still the question of why Steven named David as the shooter, and a closer look at Billy might explain how he got the pair mixed up. Billy also has a shaved head and many tattoos, and if he was in the passenger seat of a white truck, he could have easily been mistaken for David with all the similarities. He also has a lengthy criminal record and a history of violence. The detectives think they've struck gold, but they're still tasked with proving Billy was even at the scene of the crime. So he was eventually brought in for questioning, and at a distance, it's not difficult to understand how the 2 men could have been mistaken for each other.
It's been a while.
There's people that are trying to dime you out, okay, as a person that did this.
Okay, whatever, man.
I understand that. That's why, and I'll tell you right now, a lot of
enemies. I didn't hurt nobody.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Billy denies any involvement and goes on the defensive when questioned, but he might have just been caught out lying. David's ex-girlfriend placed him on a road called Maple Street, but according to Billy, he was somewhere completely different at the time of the shooting.
We're going to start at the beginning of your day and just work our way through.
I was at his house. I've been there for the past week.
You haven't left your brother's house?
I have not left my brother's house the last week. So, well, I mean, I'm getting tired of getting interrogated right now. I want to be arrested for it now. I want to see the trial. I want to work, you know what I mean?
All Detective Peterson had to go off is the word of the now dead victim, a large amount of hearsay, and multiple conflicting witness statements. He had no gun, no white truck, and no physical evidence. It seemed like it was all over, and that Steven's desperate attempts to solve his own murder had been thrown away by an incredible attempt to cover it all up. But then, the cops got a phone call that just might help piece everything together. The call came from a concerned mother who told the detective her son was an unwilling participant in the shooting and wanted to hand himself in to the police. When they brought him in for questioning, he gave them even more than they could have ever hoped for.
Before you got to the house on Vista, where were you? You drive where? Or what's the first thing you do when you wake up?
I called my friend,
Okay.
and he asked me if could help him get a beer.
Okay. Then what?
And I said, okay. I said, I'll help you get a beer.
And you drive a white Chevy S10?
S10.
Okay. Were you by yourself?
I'm by myself, yes.
Did you go anywhere prior to that?
To the South Station to get him a beer.
Okay.
We were sitting in the room drinking a beer, and Billy said, I'll give you a half a gallon of gas. You give me a ride to my friend's house. So he siphoned the gas out of his truck. I just put it in my tank, and I gave Billy a ride.
The white Chevy S10 the man owns perfectly matches the description of the white truck seen leaving the area after the shooting. And if Peterson can find Billy's DNA inside the truck, then he'd have enough to make a solid case.
Here, this is what we're going to do, okay? As we approach where this happened, I want you to have me do everything you did. So he told me, turn right here. And as soon as I turn right here, he said right up here, it seemed like it was right in the drive up here by this driveway where the fence is right up here. He said, pull over, and the guy was walking right here, and the guy looked at me through the windshield, walked this way, and as soon as I looked over at Billy, he pulls the gun out and shoots the guy 2 times. He says, drive. So I drove. So you drove? Yeah, and I heard the guy crying in pain when he got shot, so I knew he hit me.
Not only was the man going to retrace every step he took while Billy was in the truck with him, but he was also going to show Peterson where he dumped the gun he used to kill Steven.
So you pulled up to here? Okay. Somewhere in there on the right-hand side somewhere where you supposedly hit the gun? Okay.
Peterson got even more evidence from inside the truck, where he found Billy's fingerprints on a CD case in the glove compartment. Billy was charged with the murder of Steven Galvin, and the driver of the truck was released without charge when the cops realized he was dragged into Steven's murder without his consent. On August 11, 2016, a jury convicted Billy Mount on charges of second-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison.